What if the Bible isn't some dusty old book telling us how to live and ruin our fun? What if it actually unfolds a story, an epic story of love and redemption centered in the person of Jesus? A story that not only demands our attention, but our allegiance. This story alone makes sense of everything we see and encounter in the world today. This story is true. This story is life-changing. This is the good news story. God's revelation to us in the Bible opens with these words. In the beginning, God. The good news story unfolded for us in the Bible begins with God. And God continues to be the center of the story in what he does next. In the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth. The holy triune God, who is complete in his own fellowship of self-giving love as Father, Son, and Holy Spirit, he who is life brought forth life. He who is glorious was delighted to create everything we know and everything we don't know from nothing. Out of the fullness of who he is, God created a physical universe. And what an amazing creation it is. To help us just see the glory of the Creator God, let's consider his creation and what his handiwork declares regarding the glory of God. Now, you may be fast, maybe you drive a fast car, but we're going to have to make you a little faster for the sake of this illustration. We're going to have you travel at the speed of light, where in the time it takes me to snap my fingers, in that brief second, you could travel around the world 7.5 times. Now, imagine straightening out that distance into a line. At that incredible speed, where you move around the earth 7.5 times in 1 second, think how far you could travel in 10 seconds. How long do you think it would take you to reach the sun going at that speed? Well, even at that speed, it would take you nearly 10 minutes to reach the sun. It's a long ways away. And if you're planning to travel to the sun with its mind-blowing heat, I'd suggest you do so at night. Well, let's say, continuing then at that speed of light, you wanted to travel to the nearest star beyond the sun, Alpha Centauri. Well, even at that speed, the speed of light, where you could travel around the world 7.5 times in 1 second, it would take you 4.5 years at that speed to reach the nearest star beyond our sun. To move across our galaxy, the Milky Way galaxy, that would take you, at that speed, over 1 billion years. And we can often lose touch with how big 1 billion actually is, because we can easily say 100 billion or 1 trillion. We can add and play around with these immense figures. However, to help you get a handle on the size of 1 billion, ponder this. If you were to count as fast as you can talk, 24 hours a day, non-stop, how long do you think it would take you to reach 1 billion? Well, you couldn't do it in your lifetime. At the speed of light, it would take 1 billion years just to cross our galaxy. And then it would be billions more just to reach the next galaxy, which is also around 1 billion light years across. So we're talking big. Now, let's consider some of the stars in our galaxy. Let's start with our sun. If the sun was hollowed out like a big ice cream scoop, it would hold around 1,300,000 of our Earths. Think about that, right? And if you think the sun is big, just wait. There is a star in the constellation Hercules. If that particular star was hollowed out, it would hold around 68 million of our suns. Are you still with me? Because that's a big star. If it's going to hold 68 million of our suns. Let's keep going. We're not done yet. There is a star called Antares that would hold, if you could hollow it out, several million stars the size of the star we just talked about in the constellation Hercules. In fact, that star Antares is larger than the size of the whole orbit of Mars around the sun. And that's not the biggest yet. One of the largest known stars, VY Canis Majoris, meaning big dog, it could easily swallow up several thousand stars the size of Antares. I mean, we don't even have monitors with high enough resolution to be able to see the sun in comparison to VY Canis Majoris. The size difference is just too much. And as of the time we're recording this, the largest known star, Stephenson 2-18, it's a red supergiant star, more than twice the size of the big dog star. So thank you, Hubble telescope. And you better stop trying to get your mind around the bigness of that star, or your synapses are going to start breaking down and you'll soon be under your bed babbling the Greek alphabet. And that's just a single star, of which there are billions in our galaxy alone, in a universe of billions of galaxies. And just think about this. How big is the God who spoke this into existence? God is far bigger than his creation. And I think far too often our thoughts of God are just way too small. It should not surprise me that I cannot fully comprehend this God who has created everything. I can't even grasp the things of the created universe with my small brain, even the size of one star. God is spirit, and he has the power to create and sustain it. He holds it all together. Yeah. If we go to the message of Paul the Apostle, to the Greeks on Mars Hill, he teaches us about the real God. And he says in Acts 17:28, "For in him we live and move and have our being." So he is not like a human or anything in his creation. Acts 17 verse 28 continues. We read, "Therefore, since we are God's offspring, we should not think that the divine being is like gold or silver or stone, an image made by man's design and skill. Do not have small thoughts of this God. Don't think of him like something in the creation." In Isaiah chapter 40, we read, "Surely the nations are like a drop in a bucket. They are regarded as dust on the scales. Before him, all the nations are as nothing. They're regarded by him as worthless and less than nothing." That's low. "To whom then will you compare God? What image will you compare him to? He sits enthroned above the circle of the earth, and its people are like grasshoppers. To whom will you compare me? Or who is my equal, says the Holy One? Lift up your eyes and look to the heavens. Who created all these? He who brings out the starry host," and we saw how big some of those were, "one by one, and calls them each by name. because of his great power and mighty strength, not one of them is missing. Do you not know? Have you not heard? The Lord is the everlasting God and the creator of the ends of the earth. He will not grow tired or weary, and his understanding no one can fathom. And that's for sure. God's understanding is unsearchable. King Solomon understood this when he declared of God in 1 Kings 8:27, "The heavens, even the highest heaven, cannot contain you. How much less this temple I have built." This amazing God, who is community, Father, Son, and Holy Spirit, a joy-filled fellowship of love, overflowed with his glory in a physical creation. The word created is the Hebrew word bara, means to create out of nothing. God the Father spoke, and Jesus created the universe out of nothing. It says in John 1:3 that all things were made through him. That's the Word, who's Jesus. And without him was not anything made that was made. And where is the Spirit of God? Well, we read this in Genesis chapter 1, verse 2. Now the earth was formless and empty. Darkness was over the surface of the deep, and the Spirit of God was hovering over the waters. We're told the Spirit took the raw material and began preparing it, which is why in the rest of the description given in Genesis 1, it uses a different word, asa, which is translated made, as opposed to the word created or created out of nothing. See, the word made is referring to the Spirit renovating the earth and beautifying the creation, getting it ready, preparing it for mankind, and the great purpose planned out in the heart and mind of God. Again, this is a good news story like no other. The triune God created. Psalm 33 says, "By the word of the Lord the heavens were made, and by the breath or spirit of his mouth all their host." So we have here Lord, Word, and Spirit. God spoke the universe into existence in a moment. And then in 6 days, he renovates and sets everything in place in relation to one planet, the earth, to prepare the setting for mankind and the good news story of God's redemption. The clear emphasis in these opening chapters in the Bible is not how God did it, but who did it and why he did it. In these opening paragraphs, God communicates to us about where we came from, our origin, and also our purpose and our design. And what do we learn about our origin? Well, we were created by a creator. That means we are not the measure of anything. We are not the point in the universe. And though we'll see that we have a very special, honored place in the creative order, but the fact is that we are not the point, and that can rub us the wrong way because we can want to be the center. But I'm not the center. I think God chose this insignificant ball of dirt and water, not even the center of our own puny galaxy, to remind us once again that we are not the center. If the earth suddenly started thinking, I'm tired of revolving around the sun. I want to be the center and have things revolve around me. That would not actually help the earth flourish. We'd no longer have a solar system. It would be a solar collision. But what is amazing is that even though we aren't the center of the universe, we receive a very honored place. Because unlike any other part of creation, we as people were created in the image of God. Genesis 1:27 reads, "So God created man in his own image. In the image of God, he created him. Male and female, he created them." To be made in the image of God means there must be something special about our purpose. Why did He make us in His image? As His creatures, first, we must realize that we belong to God. We're under His ownership. We answer to Him and serve His purposes. We were created by Him and for Him. So to understand our purpose, we need to learn what we were designed for. And what does the Bible reveal about our design? As our Creator, God not only is the foundation of our origin, but He grants us our purpose. And He's designed this to work in a specific way for our flourishing. Part of what it means to be made in the image of God is that we were created to have an ongoing, dependent relationship with our Maker. As we look around the world, we see instances everywhere that demonstrates beautiful design. Whether it's architecture, electronics, or tools, how things are designed reveal that there is in fact a designer. Which means looking at the complexities and the intricacies of a well-designed object can tell us something about that designer. In the same way, creation testifies and reveals to us something about our Creator. Sometimes people ask for the proof of God's existence, proof of the Creator. But the design of creation itself testifies to the Creator. I mean, if I hold up my phone and told you that it just came into being by itself, you'd say I was crazy. On what basis? Well, the creation, the phone itself, its design, its order shows that it was created by someone, an intelligent someone, for a purpose. I mean, even something as simple as a pen, right, testifies to having a creator. Well then, how much more the physical creation? Take like the human body, right? I mean, you think all its systems working in harmony. You've got the human eye, you've got the reproduction system. The creation itself testifies to a creator, an incredibly big and smart and glorious creator. Well, when we go back to the first chapters of the Bible, we see God declare, after every new renovation, on each day, there's this declaration that it was good. In Genesis 1, we see that God created this world good. In fact, in verses 4 and 10 and 12 and 18 and 21, 25, and then again in verse 31, we have this repeated refrain that it was good. Now, we have to remember that good is always measured by its purpose. In other words, what's a good cell phone? If you use it to try and fix your garage door or pry siding off your house and then throw it away because it's no good, does that even make sense? Likewise, a good person is one who fully reflects God's design to image in community, the good of loving others completely and fully. So when you get to Genesis chapter 2, in the opening scenes of the story, and you see this one thing that is not good, it jumps off the page. And what was the one thing that was not good? Well, in Genesis 2:18 we read, "The Lord God said, 'It's not good for the man to be alone. I will make a helper suitable for him.'" Why? To fulfill our role as image bearers of God. It means we were designed for relationship, to know and love God, and to know and love others. And it reflects our purpose to image forth the God who is community, a community of self-giving love. Therefore, it was not good for the man to be alone, for he could not fulfill his purpose to image forth God by himself. We need community in unity, where we love one another and find our joy in the other's joy. So God wounded the man's side, and from his bloody flesh, God made woman from man and united them in a covenant relationship of love, a one-flesh unity in diversity of persons, male and female. The man and woman became an us, a humanity to display the image of the God who is a community of love and unity. As image bearers, we are designed with a creativity, a capacity to love, all in relationship with God and one another. And since we're made in the image of God, humans make choices, right? Unlike animals who function by instinct. And we have a dominion to steward for God, which biblically is a capacity to serve. So we're not just further down the evolutionary trail from the animals, we're in a totally different category, which is not an arrogant thing to say, rather, it's an acknowledgement of our responsibility. We have a responsibility and design that other creatures do not have. In the days of Moses, when there were rulers and authorities who ruled over distant lands, there would be statues and icons put in place so that there would be an image of the reign and rule of that king. Well, you and I as human beings are that image of God that shows there is a creator who is reigning and ruling. And we've been given the task of being his representatives, his ambassadors. We're to reflect what God is like to others. We're to reflect the goodness of the gracious, loving King that God is. Before sin ever entered into the world, God designed the man to work. This is part of what it means to worship our Creator. He put our first parents, Adam and Eve, in a garden in Eden, a garden filled with diversity and beauty and wonder. And we've been designed to work in partnership with God, including expanding the garden over the entire earth to fill it with people, fill it with image bearers who would love God and love and serve one another so that the entire world would be filled with the glory of God. And humans would love, enjoy, and find rest in relationship with God and His creation. At the end of the creation story, we read this from Genesis chapter 1, verse 31. Then God saw all that He had made, and it was very good. God created a good world. Humans were created in the image of God, under His good ownership. Thus, they had purpose, living in a dependent love relationship with their Creator and imaging forth His glory in community. We find rest and flourishing when we center not on ourselves, but on God and on others. As humans, we were made to dwell in refreshing fellowship with God and a love relationship with one another in paradise. But I only have to look at the world to know something has happened. It doesn't take much observation or experience to know something has gone horribly wrong. And that's what we'll look at next as we see what happened to this good creation.